based on the view of the people, the followers of Jesus.
Which people?
The followers of Jesus.
Okay.
What is the dominant view that they've held? And they held even to this day. Is it
this is what which is very clear. That's the reason I brought the topic. Yes, according to the followers of Jesus, believers of Jesus, the laymen, including the learned scholars, they all say that Jesus did die on the cross. He was buried in the grave. He stayed there for 3 days and 3 nights, and then he rose from that, and he came, and the prophecy was fulfilled. Yes.
Awesome. Okay, very good. I appreciate that. So now the reason why that's important is because this goes into the evidence that I gave in my opening statement with the Quran verses that says that Allah made the followers of Jesus dominant in spreading the message. And so therefore, since the dominant message is that Jesus died and resurrected 3 days later, either that's the belief that Allah helped spread and that's the true message of Jesus, therefore making Islam false because it contradicts that obviously, or that's the message of the disbelievers. The disbelievers overcame the true believers in spreading this message that Jesus died and rose again, and therefore Allah failed to keep his promise in making the followers of Jesus dominant, and so then Islam will be false either way. You understand what I'm saying?
You want me to say this?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. So you asked me about the dominant view and objective the Christians believe, and I said this is what they believe. Yes, true. And now you quote my verses from the Quran, and you are saying that the dominant or the message is what you believe. Where did you get this from, that we believe the same what you believe?
That's my point. I know that you don't believe what I believe. My point is that the Quran says that the followers of Jesus are made dominant over the disbelievers in helping Jesus spread the message. So that would mean that the dominant, whatever the dominant message is, according to the Quran, has to be the true message that Allah helped spread. If Allah, right?
Yeah, son, the Quran says, وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ and وَشُبِّهَ لَهُمْ وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ يَقِينًا. So this is the dominant message which we are promoting, even to tell the Christians that this is how we are helping this. Because you can't take that message and put the, that verse and put your understanding to that, because your understanding is not there. It is understood from your perspective, from your understanding, that is the message which, we understood that Jesus did die. And Quran is saying that if the followers of Jesus will be dominant with the message. So that is, you are putting that message of he was crucified, that message that he died, that message that he was buried, that message he was raised. I have no problem. That is from your perspective. But when you talk about from that particular verse, that verse does not say what is the message.
So this is where the problem lies, Doctor. It's that it's by your own admission that the dominant view among the followers of Jesus is that he was crucified and rose again on the third day. You admitted that. And so
I admit it from your perspective. You have to remember my word as well.
No, because I asked you.
I'm agreeing. I'm saying that
remember,
this is
Doctor,
how the Christians.
Now remember, Doctor. I asked you just really quick.
Habibi,
I asked you apart from what I'm showing you, but my perspective subjectively, yours. But when we look at it objectively, what is the dominant view amongst the followers of Jesus regarding the crucifixion? Is it that he didn't die, or is it that he did die? And you acknowledge that yes, to the followers of Jesus, to the Christians, the dominant view is absolutely that he died, was buried, and rose again.
Yeah,
so
I say it now.
Right.
I again say it from
I know.
to the followers of Jesus.
I know. So yeah. So according to the followers of Jesus, the message is that Jesus died by crucifixion, was buried in the tomb, rose again 3 days later. And so since that's the view and the message of the followers of Jesus, Allah says in chapter 61, verse 14 and 355, that he made the followers of Jesus dominant over the disbelievers in helping Jesus spread his message. And so if he makes them dominant in spreading the message, that means that they're truly spreading the message of Jesus. And we see that this included the death, burial, and the resurrection. So the problem is that the Quran, obviously, like you keep repeating correctly, the Quran says it was made to appear so. They neither killed him nor did they crucify him, but it was made to appear so. But the followers of Jesus was going around saying Jesus died by crucifixion, was buried in a tomb, and rose again 3 days later. So the problem is that Allah denies the crucifixion while pushing the message of the crucifixion. There's a dilemma there. So either the crucifixion is the true message that Allah helped spread, and therefore Allah's contradicting himself by saying it didn't happen. Or the message of the crucifixion was spread by disbelievers, and that became dominant over the true believers, which would then make Allah a failure because he said he'll make the true believers of Jesus dominant over the disbelievers. So that's the dilemma.
Quran speaks about the Injil. Quran does not speak about the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
What is the Injil?
What is the Injil? I'm asking you.
No, you're not. You're saying that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is not the Injil. So tell us what it is then.
Yes, it is. It is the Gospel of Matthew, Gospel of Mark, Gospel of John, Gospel of Luke. Where's the Gospel of Jesus?
Okay, so when we do this, you guys can still see the screen, right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so if we do this, the beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. That's how Mark starts off. So it's not his own gospel. He's recording the gospel of Jesus.
Yes. Was it approved by Jesus?
Was it approved by Jesus? Jesus says that I send you prophets and scribes. So when Mark says that he's writing, when Mark says he's writing the gospel,
did John write that in front of him?
This ain't John. This is Mark. When Mark is saying that he's writing the gospel, he's writing the Injil. Is he right or is he wrong?
When did he start writing?
It doesn't matter.
It matters.
Why?
It matters.
Why? When was the Injil?
The person who was already gone for 20 years away, and then somebody comes and writes about his saying, I'm just giving you 20 years or 20 months. I'm not giving you exact date because there are so many other informations are there that the Bible start being written by Paul, John, Mark, Matthew.
When was the Injil written?
Injil was not written. That's what I'm saying. Where is the Injil of Jesus?
Come on, man. Hold on. Let me show you. So this is chapter 7, verse 157.
Yes.
Those who follow the messenger, the prophet who can neither read or write. I'm going to skip the brackets because that's not in the actual verse, even though it kind of helps me. But I'm going to skip that to be fair to the actual Quran, okay? Who can neither read nor write, whom they find written with them in the Torah and the Injil. So the Quran says that the Torah and the Injil are written down and they're with the Jews and the Christians in Muhammad's time. You understand what I'm saying? So the Injil was written according to the Quran. The question now is, when was it written?
You bring me the Injil of Jesus Prophet's time.
Brother, when was the Injil written?
I'm telling you, it wasn't written. The Injil of Jesus was not written at the time when he was raised.
Sure.
The time when he was raised.
Sure. When was it written? Is my question.
When was it written?
Mm-hmm.
It was written when Jesus was preaching them.
Okay, can you show me where your Quran says that the Injil was being written down while Jesus was preaching?
Because the Injil was given to him, so it was during his time.
Yeah, but where does it say it was written in his time? Like, for example, you believe that the Quran was compiled. You believe the Quran was compiled, right? But it wasn't compiled by Muhammad. That was compiled after Muhammad, right?
No. Who said so? Who said so?
Bukhari, Abu Bakr had Zayd bin Thabit.
Can we have a separate debate on this? I challenge you then.
On whether or not the Quran was compiled after
compilation of the Quran. No, we can have that debate. Okay. Academically.
Sure.
Okay, let's come back to this point now.
Yes. So where does the Quran say it was written?
No.
Where does it say it was written in his time?
The Injil of Matthew. Where does Quran say the Injil of
No one
Mark?
claims that. Again, I showed you what Mark says. Mark doesn't say he's writing his own.
Hold on, doctor. Stick with the Injil of Jesus.
Doctor, excuse me. I showed you Mark. He doesn't say this is the gospel of Mark. He says this is the gospel of Jesus, the Son of God. So that's what Mark claims that he's writing. You're saying that Mark isn't writing the Injil, the gospel of Jesus. And you're saying that it's because Mark wrote this after Jesus ascended. So this is why the relevant question. The Quran says the Injil was written. When was the Injil written?
Okay, it is relevant. My son, tell me. If the gospel of Jesus was existing, then why John has to write it?
Did the Quran exist in Muhammad's time?
Yes.
Did scribes write it down?
Habibi, I'm telling you, don't jump here and there.
I'm using your own logic. I'm using your logic to show you how it backfires.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just asking you that if the Jesus Injil was there, then why Mark, Matthew, John, and Luke have to write the gospel?
Because it was verbal. It wasn't written down yet.
So that means Jesus didn't give them anything in writing, yes?
He didn't give them anything in writing.
And he left.
Do you have something to suggest otherwise?
Yeah, no, he left. Okay.
Okay. Yes. So when was the Injil written,
bro?
Now
you brought me this verse. It says written.
Yeah.
Written where?
It says the Injil was written. My question to you is, when
But
was
now
it written?
you are saying it was verbal. Just now you said.
Oh my gosh, dude. Just like how the Quran started off as a verbal recitation, so the Injil is a verbal recitation and ends up getting written down after it's verbally recited. Just like the Quran. If you have a problem with that, show me otherwise. When was the Injil written down? Tell me.
No, I'm just asking you, when Injil is saying, Quran is saying the Injil was written. So then why Mark had to write another Injil?
He's not writing another Injil, he's writing the Injil.
Whose Injil is that?
Jesus's.
Who confirmed that?
All the apostles. Mark is writing the gospel, he's writing the Injil.
Okay.
If
that is your belief, I respect
no,
that.
but it's not. But you're saying you're denying it. What
I'm
probable?
denying it because I'm
I got
Muslim.
you. I know.
I'm
Just hold on a
Muslim. I've
second,
got
doctor.
nothing to do with the
Doctor,
Bible.
1 second, please. I understand your belief as a Muslim. Trust me. I know what you believe. My issue with you is that you have no substance for why you believe what you believe. You have no plausible reason to deny that Mark is writing the Injil. Nothing.
No, I don't have to. I
You don't have
love
to
it.
what?
I love it. I
Oh,
say
so-
good luck to the Christians. They should follow word by word, verse by verse of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I say that.
So you agree that Mark is writing the Injil?
He's in jail.
No.
No.
Let's do this again. You see the verse on the screen, right?
Yes.
All right, this is what Mark says. This is the beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, not of Mark, of Jesus Christ. So
Okay.
Mark is claiming to write the Injil of Jesus. Do you agree with Mark here or do you disagree? And why?
Okay. Let's understand this. If Mark is writing the Jesus gospel, then what did Matthew write?
Brother, do you disagree? Focus on Mark. Do you disagree that he's writing the
I'm
Injil? or not?
focusing on Mark. I said, okay, Mark is writing the gospel of Jesus.
Awesome.
What did Mark write?
Wait,
Matthew write?
Forget Matthew and them. This is strong enough for me. We can get to Matthew and them in a second. So Mark is writing the Injil.
Yes.
Awesome. So we
Yes.
have the Injil.
Yes.
And according to the Injil, guess what Jesus says in the Injil? What does he say? Watch what Jesus says in the Injil. See, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be delivered over to the chief priests and the scribes, and they will condemn him to death and deliver him over to the Gentiles, and they will mock him and spit on him and flog him and kill him, and after 3 days he will rise. So according to the Injil, Jesus taught that he will die and rise again, which falsifies Islam and makes Christianity true.
Good. Well done. You
Thank you.
won the case.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You won the case. Now, let's go to Matthew. Bring the same thing.
Okay, so the debate's
Message
over.
of Jesus.
The debate's over now. You can see the